Alright, good everyone. Welcome to today's class. And today we're looking at biology, and the topic for today is titled Pests and Diseases of Crops and Livestock. Pests and Diseases of Crops and Livestock. And this topic will look at various subtopics which we're going to see in the next slide. We're looking at definition. We're looking at group of pests. And we're looking at life cycle of selected pests. Also discuss about pests of crops, their effects and control. Also talk about economic importance of pests. What is a pest? A pest is an organism which harbors diseases organism or causes damages to other organisms. So a pest is an organism which harbors disease organism, that is, it carries disease organism that causes disease, and the pest himself can also cause damage to other organisms. Now there are crop and livestock pests. So some pests attack crops while some attack livestock. And in this case, the livestock represents the animals that we rear. Crop pests include insects such as grasshoppers, mealybugs, mirides, beetles, birds, and mammals such as rodents that we have. While livestock pests can be grouped into two, we have what we call the ectoparasites and we have what we call the endoparasites, which we're going to discuss further in this class. And examples of ectoparasites, they include ticks, mites, and so on and so forth. While endoparasites include liver flukes, roundworms, and tapeworms. These are the groups of livestock pests. Let's look at types of pests. Now, pests can be grouped into insect pests and non-insect pests. Now, the insect pests include the arthropods. Now, the arthropods, they are a group of phylums that they're invertebrates, they're insects that have jointed appendages. So they have jointed body and they are all classified as what? Insects. So arthropod is a group of what? Insects under the classification of living things. And these arthropods carry disease or causes damage to plants and animals. Examples include the tick, lice, grasshopper, cotton stainer. These are all insects and examples of the arthropods. While number two, the non-insect plants, these are vertebrates and mollusks. Now, mollusks are a group of organisms that have soft body, some has shell, and some do not. Example is the snail it's an example of the mollusks. And this mollusk causes disease to plants and also to animals, or they can also destroy crops. Example we have is the rodent, worms, nematode, monkeys. These are examples of non-insect pests. Let's look at a group of insect pests. The first group here we have is the stem borers. Now the stem borers, they bore hole into the stem of plants. They lay their eggs at the junction of the leaf shoots, and when this egg hatch into larva, they go into the stem, bore hole into the stem and weaken the stem, and thereby making the stem not to be strong enough, and they break even at the slightest wind. For example, the maize plants, they bore hole into the maize stem and thereby weakening the stem, which can easily break even at the slightest wind. So we call them stem borers, and they affect cereal crops like maize. Number two, we have the fruit and seed feeders. These are pests that feed on fruits and seeds of plants. And the examples we have there, we have the pansy moth, we have the fruit flies, we have the cotton stainer, we have some certain beetles, and most of their hosts, they include tomato, millet, maize, and okra. So they feed actually on the fruits and seeds of plants. The next group of crop insects we have there is the root feeders. Root feeders. Now these root feeders can either be in the larval form or they can be as adult form of insects. And a very good example there is the yam beetle, which lives mainly in the soil, but they burrow hole into the ground and feed on yam tubers. So they are after the roots of plants and they feed on the roots. Another group here we have is the leaf feeders. This particular insect focus on the leaves of plants. They eat up the leaves. Example we have is the snail, beetle, caterpillar, moth, butterfly, grasshopper, and locust. So these are examples of leaf feeders. They feed only on the leaves of plants. Next we have there is the young shoot feeders. This particular pest is interested only in the young plants that are growing, so they feed on young plants or on young shoots. Example we have there is the aphid and the mealbug. Now they feed by piercing and sucking juice from these young plants, and they transmit diseases such as fungi, bacteria, and virus to the plants, thereby causing the plants to die early. Example is the cassava mosaic, which is transmitted by the white flies. So as you can see on the screen, these are the white flies. So once they begin to pierce and suck the juice, at the same time they transmit this particular virus into this particular plant, which is the cassava, and transmit the cassava mosaic, which is a viral disease that affects the cassava plants, thereby destroying the plants. Let's look at life cycle of some selected pests. First, we have there's the grasshopper, and the grasshopper they are leaf feeders. Now, how do they? What is the life cycle all about? First, the male and the female mates, and the eggs are then fertilized internally. Then number two, the female then digs a hole with a structure in her body called the ovipositor. And this ovipositor digs into the soil near roots of plants and lay about 40 to 100 eggs in the hole. And next, a protective material is produced to cover the eggs. After about 3 days, the eggs hatch into nymphs. Now, nymphs they resemble the adults, they're just like the young grasshopper, but except they are sexually immature and wingless. And the nymph molts as in develop several times and hops about, feeding on shoots of plants nearby. They begin to migrate into areas where there are cassava farms and start feeding on the cassava leaves until an adult stage is attained. And when an adult stage is attained, they keep on doing the process again. The process is being recycled again. This is how their life cycle is all about. Next, there we have the life cycle of the grasshopper. This is the female right here, and look at the structure she used to dig the egg. That is her ovipositor. Now the ovipositor is used to lay the egg into the soil, and once the egg hatch, this is the nymph. Look at the nymph; it looks more like the adult, but it's not yet. The difference between it and the adult is just that it doesn't have wings and it's not yet matured, and keep on growing as they feed. As they feed, it molts. Once it molts away its old skin and becomes an adult, and the circle keeps on going all over again. Next, let's look at the effects of grasshopper, mostly on cassava. And the nymphs, which is the young grasshopper, and the adults, they feed on leaves, shoots, and backs of cassava. And by doing so, they reduce the cassava yield drastically and also affect the photosynthetic ability of the plant, which should thereby make a plant not to grow as required. How do you control the grasshopper? To control, we spray with gamalin 20 It's an insecticide that is used to kill insect pests. Let's look at the next one. We have the cassava mealybug. The cassava mealybugs. Let's look at the life cycle of the cassava mealybugs. Now, the female insect lays egg without fertilization by the male. The eggs are not fertilized by the male, and this type of production is called parthenogenesis. It's called parthenogenesis. It's a process whereby eggs that is not fertilized is hatched even without fertilization from the male. Next, the egg that is not fertilized, which is called unfertilized egg, hatch into larvae, which are weed-borne or carried with cassava stem cuttings during planting season. And because they hide in the buds of the stem, then the larvae undergo 3 molting stages before adult stage. And one generation is completed about 21 days before it becomes an adult. And once it gets to an adult, the adult can live for about 140 days, or 45 days rather. Let's look at the effects of the mealybug. Number 1, they suck the sap of cassava, leading the plant to stunted growth of shoots. Number 2, the shoots develop bunchy tops. Number 3, the leaves of the shoot dies and drop. Number 4, mealybug infestation impairs the photosynthesis of the leaf. And once the photosynthesis is being impaired, the plant will not be able to perform photosynthesis and thereby leading to the death of the plants. How do you control the mealybug? Dip cassava cutting into 0.1 ultracide solution for 1 minute before planting a tuber. Alright, let's look at the life history of bean weevil. Number 1, the male and the female adults mate and fertilize eggs, and the eggs are laid in the ripening ponds of the beans in the farm. The eggs hatch into larvae, and this egg enter into the bean seed even before harvesting. Now, once this beans is harvested and kept in the store, the larvae feed on the cotyledons of the beans, thereby reducing the ability of the beans to germinate. And as they continue feeding, the larvae develop into pupa in the store, and the pupa later develop into adults, which fly away to mate again in the farm to repeat the cycle. The effects of the bean weevil: they feed on seed, thereby reducing the quality and the value of the beans. How do we control them? Fumigate the store in which beans are stored with fumigants such as methyl bromide. So you fumigate your store containing the bean seed with a chemical known as the methyl bromide. Let's look at the cocoa mirids, which is also known as capsid. Now, the cocoa mirid, these are piercing and sucking insects. They attach to the shoot, the young shoot of cocoa, and they introduce toxic saliva into the sap, which may kill the plants. As they're sucking the plant juice, they also introduce a poisonous or toxic saliva into the plants, and thereby killing the plants or introducing various diseases into the plants. What are the effects of cocoa mirids? They causes dieback disease, which reduce the growth of cocoa plants. They also reduce the fruit yield of the plants. How do we control the cocoa mirids? Spray the cocoa farm with cocotin or gamalin 20. These are ways you can control the cocoa mirids. Let's look at the yam beetle. Let's look at the life cycle of the yam beetle. Now, the yam beetle, after mating, fertilized eggs are laid in riverine areas. The eggs hatch into larvae and feed on dead organic matter, and molt tries to develop into pupa. The pupa molts and develop into adults and fly to where the yams are planted. That is from the riverine area. Once they get to where the yam is planted, they dig into the soil and search for yam tubers, feed on it, and damage the yam tuber. Then the yam beetle then undergo breeding migration to the riverine area again. Once they've done that, they go back to the riverine area again for mating. How do we control this? The effect of the yam beetle is that it feeds on the yam tuber and causing damage to the yam tuber and render the yam tuber valueless. So once that yam gets to the market, most people will not want to buy it because of the effects of the yam beetle on the yam tuber. Now, if the yam tuber is attacked at the early stage, the results will be very, very poor. The yielding results will not have enough harvest. It will be very, very poor if it's attacked in the very early stage. How do you control your this beetle? Dust the yam or yam set, which is the piece of the yam you're about to plant, with aldrin before planting. Now, aldrin is an insect pest in powder form. So it dust the yam with aldrin before planting. Here is the life cycle of the yam beetle. First is the egg, which will hatch and become a larva, and larva will molt and become pupa. From pupa, it molts and become the adults, and the cycle is done all over again. It's repeated all over again. Let's look at pests and parasites of some livestock and their effects. Now, what's a pest? A pest is an organism living in or on another organism called host, having a harmful effect on that organism or the host as a result of their association. So a pest can live in or on another organism, and the organism that is living in or on is called a host, and it causes damage to its host. Now, pests can be classified, parasites can be classified into two. Now, the parasite can be endo. When it's endo, this is a parasite which lives inside its host. Examples are tapeworm, roundworm, liver fluke. And parasites can be ecto. These are parasites that live outside the host. Examples is tick, we have the lice, we have the mites. So these are the major classes of what parasites. Let's look at examples of the parasites, animal parasites, their effects, and how to control them. First, we're looking at the tick. And the tick, their hosts are cattle, goats, and sheep. What is the effect? They suck blood, which results to anemia. It causes restlessness, sores on the skins of the animals, and their effect also lead to the loss of the weight of the animal. But they also transmit virus and protozoa that causes diseases. These are the effects on the farm animals. How do we control? Spray animal house with insecticide. Remove ticks from the body of the animals. This is how they are controlled. Next we have there is the liver fluke. Liver fluke, majorly their host is the water snail. Let's look at the economic importance or the effects of the liver fluke. It affects the digestion, It results in liver rot. It leads to drowsiness and death of the animal. To control them is you destroy water snail, which is their host, and you treat your pole with copper sulfate. Treat every poles with copper what? Sulfate in order to kill this particular parasite. Next we have is a roundworm. Their hosts include the pigs and the cattle. And mind you, the roundworm, they are endoparasites. They live inside the host of so they live inside the host, inside the host, inside the body of the host. Let's look at the economic importance. They feed on digested food from the host, from within, and this results to the slow growth. It also results to indigestion and constipation. And that effect is that it leads to loss of appetite of the animal, can lead to weakness and even the death of the animal. How do we control this? Is that you deworm animals regularly and maintain good sanitary measure. Next we have is the lice. The lice is an ectoparasite. It lives outside the body of the organism, or the host rather, and their host is the birds. They live mostly on the birds. Let's look at the economic importance. They suck the blood of their host, and this results in great irritation. And that irritation leads to restlessness, loss of weight, and low productivity of the birds. They also transmit diseases, pathogens. So how do we control such is that you prevent overcrowding of your birds, your poultry, you ensure good sanitary measures, and you use the insecticide known as DDT. Next we have the ancestor fly. Their major host is the cattle. Let's look at their economic importance. They suck blood and transmit a producing parasite known as trypanosome. And this trypanosome causes sleeping sickness, anemia, and loss of weight. How do we control them? You clear the bushes around a farmland and use insecticide. Let's look at the general economic importance of pests generally. Number one, they lead to reduction in yield and productivity of crops and plants. The plants they will not have enough good results when you have your plants. When you read them, you not have the desired results that you actually want. So they reduce the desired results that you're supposed to get from the plants or the animal. Number two, reduction in quality of farm produce. The quality of the farm produce will be reduced drastically if these things are not put in check. Number three, increase in cost of production, in the cost of controlling. So you spend more money to control these pests, and at the end of the day, this will lead to high cost of what? Production of rearing animals and planting crops. Because you have to buy chemicals and all that, which will now add to more expenses. Number four, it can lead to reduction in income of farmers. Number five, they render the farm produce unattractive and unmarketable. Number six, they cause malfunction in plants, or they cause malformation in plants. Plants will not be formed properly, and in animals, the animals will not be formed properly from young stage if they are affected by these pests. And number seven, they cause the death of plants and animals. So we've come to the end of this class. You can go through the video back and forth to have a quick review of what we discuss. And here's a general question for you to answer. Number one says, give the definition of pests, list the types of pests. In tabular form, states the life cycle, economic importance, and control of grasshopper, yam beetle, and bean weevil. Number three says, what is a pest? Number four says, list and explain with examples types of parasites. And number five says, list three examples of animal pests, their effects and control. Then number six lists the economic importance of what? Of pests. So these are all what we have, look at in the class. So start with the definition. We look at the types of pests. Look at the groups of various pests, stem borers, fruit and seed feeders, root feeders, leaf feeders, young shoot feeders. We also look at the life cycle of some selected pests. Look at the grasshopper. We look at the cassava mealybug. We look at the bean weevil. Look at the cocoa mirids, the yam beetle. And we also look at the life cycle of the yam beetle. We look at the pests and parasites of some livestock and their effects. We look at examples of animal pests, effects and control. We look at the tick, liver fluke, roundworm, lice, fly. I also look at the economic importance of what? Of pests in general. So you can play the video and pause them. Thank you. God bless you. Do have a nice day. Make sure you read and God bless you. Bye bye.